A client came in today and asked me what got me interested in bankruptcy. I had to think for a moment. And I told him, well, I was always interested in it. I was doing some bankruptcy. I first started practicing law. I was in the general practice, did a little bit of everything. And one of the things I did was bankruptcy, and I found it interesting. And I always remembered how my grandfather, it's a story in the family, lost his farm during the Great Depression. And it was always something that stuck with everybody. And today that farm that was in New London was where the New London High School is. All that land up in there and all the apartments. Well, it was a farm, but he couldn't hold on to it like most people. And I always wondered if I'd been around at the time, if with bankruptcy I could have done anything. Well, the more I got into it, I learned that there was Chapter 12, and that's for a fisherman or a farmer, but that didn't exist back in the 1930s. It's only recently that that development came about. But, and then also Chapter 13 didn't exist either, and that's more relatively modern development, where you could do payment plans by the consumer. So back then, in the 30s, best that I understand the bankruptcy law back then, I couldn't have helped him, but I thought, wouldn't it be something if the bankruptcy laws existed at that time, that exist today, he actually could have possibly saved his farm using what's called a Chapter 12. They're very rare, actually. I've done a number of them because they're so rare, and I've done a few of them, at least 5 or 6. I'm now considered an expert because no one has done even one. So that's why I got interested in it. And then also what happened, I could type. Now back in the day, for a guy to type, it was very, very unusual, but I could type. And they had no computers, of course, just a manual typewriter. So you had to roll in a carbonized form, and you had to hit it hard, and you couldn't make a mistake, because if you did, you had to erase it. And if you did, you could be very careful, because it could tear the paper. Well, the secretaries didn't want to do it. And that was one of the big hang-ups for all attorneys. They couldn't make the secretaries do it. But what happened with me was, I said to the secretary, she said, "Oh, this is too much." I said, "Guess what? I can do it. I will do it. And if I do it, I don't need you. So either you do it or I do it. What's the choice going to be today?" So she did it. And so we started typing up bankruptcy petitions because they were difficult to type up. Today, of course, now we have a computer, and that didn't come in until about 1985, really. And it made a big revolution. So that was one of the reasons. And then with bankruptcy, I guess it's like someone you fall in love with. Maybe it isn't love at first sight, but it grows on you and you fall in love. And that's what happened with me with bankruptcy. It was a long-term development, a long-term romance. And I became absolutely, totally fascinated with the world of bankruptcy. I started attending many seminars and lectures and became more and more knowledgeable in it and more skillful. And I've persisted ever since. Today, I only concentrate in what I call consumer debt, consumer issues.